Hey everybody, welcome to Page Screen and Beyond, where we have a little bit of news, a little bit of perspective, and a whole lot of banter. This week in Page, we're talking New Mutants by legend Chris Claremont and The Kong Guerrilla Warfare with captivating cover art by Raza. In Screen, Kevin Feige making his contribution to Star Wars and a fourth wall breaking fall promo for Rick and Morty. And in Beyond, we have a release date and new footage for Last of Us 2, along with Tesla's quote unquote million-mile battery. And yes, we will talk Spidey.
What are you talking about?
He's got the elder one. How? Explain it to me.
They
are going to. I don't have the answer.
The power of that love.
Power of love.
Yeah, that same sex.
I love you, Grindelwald.
No different.
You cannot
No different?
kill my
No
love
different
for
than
you.
any other familial or romantic love.
No different than...
Wait,
You
isn't
think the
Dumbledore
power
gay?
of-
J.K. Rowling said Dumbledore is gay, so what if he actually
No,
does
it was
fall
set
in
up
love?
in this past movie that Grindelwald and Dumbledore were in a relationship, and that's why Dumbledore
It doesn't
doesn't
say
go
that.
murk Grindelwald right away.
It doesn't say
because
that.
he had a romantic connection.
Was
with
it
him.
implied?
It is
They have
strongly implied.
a tethering object.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
Albus won't attack Grindelwald because of a pact, like a unity they made.
I think it's a blood pact that they won't fight each other. But we don't know a lot about those either.
So if he kills Grindelwald, he dies, basically?
We don't...
He
Yeah.
won't do it. Like
He
just
we
won't
won't
do
find
it.
out because of the fact that he has that.
The blood
Well,
pact.
he's
Oh,
just...
you don't want to call it love, but that connection to
Yeah.
Grindelwald.
Well, the thing is, Grindelwald had it at the beginning of the movie. He was keeping it very close to him, and Dumbledore has it now, and they're like, can you fuck this thing up? And he's like, well, maybe.
I don't know if I even want to. If I would.
Sure.
Because I feel like that connection he has to Grindelwald hasn't changed.
Okay.
Like, just because he's an evil fuck doesn't mean that they didn't share those blissful memories.
Plus, adding more background to Dumbledore is just great, because he's so
I mean, I love Jude Law.
mystical.
He is a...
Jude Law Dumbledore we did not get enough of in
Yeah.
this past movie. That's the big thing, is like a lot of the things that I was excited about, it touched and ran away from. Like, it's called Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
And how many fucking beasts were in the sequel?
Well, it's also
Like,
called Crimes
two-
of Grindelwald, and there was a fair
True.
amount of him, so...
Sure, true. Very true. Very true.
Even that was kind of wishy-washy.
They do. Well, I mean...
It was very much prequel amounts of him just kind of having conversations, whether on rooftops or in a study.
Yeah.
And then his one stadium performance where he's, again, Wizard Hitler.
Opening scene where he fucks everything up, and what the fuck happened there? Body
Opening
swapping
scene
shit?
where opening scene where he had his biggest fuck up in the entire movie, where going back to save his henchmen rather than just leaving his henchmen with no tongue, having the face of him. Like, he could have just had anonymity for 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, however long it took for them to realize that the person that they had in their cell was not actually Grindelwald.
There has to be
He went
a
back to
reason.
save the fucking Patsy.
There has to be a reason. And it's... You gotta watch the scene again, because this needs to be explained. Which one is Grindelwald? When are they switched? Is it actually Grindelwald in
see
the
him,
thing, and
like,
then it switches?
No, you see him standing watching the chariot fly away. It's like he's free, and then he goes to free his Patsy.
But then it doesn't make sense. That means he's been free for a long time, at least a very significant amount of time. Because he was
from the
free
transfer
right there.
process.
Yeah, when they transferred bodies, when they body swapped or whatever.
Right.
When did that happen?
I imagine
Those are-
when they found that he was being moved.
How? I mean, you couldn't get anything into his little bubble. Remember his little bubble?
Then you have to reconsider what you know.
Right.
And they gotta explain kind of how that even happened. It wasn't polyjuice. They switched back to each other at the same time. That's not how that works.
Is that some sort of like mimicking spell?
I don't know. It's something new completely.
Like a
and
mockingbird spell or
unexplained.
something like that.
See, that's why they go with a lot of the old stuff, because it's like, this is new shit that's not explained,
Yeah.
and I want to know how it works and what applications it can be used for. And you
Rather than
can't-
just being a
and
standalone
being in a
element.
school where they tell you this is how this works, these are the applications for this. It gives me something to think about.
Yeah.
And now it's just like and it brings up like there are endless applications for everything in the magic world because these are adults that can do things that the fucking kids can't, and I like that aspect.
Turn them loose.
It's just
I hope that future installments of this franchise get me back on board. It's just I very much enjoyed all of Potter and the first Fantastic Beasts, and this one took a big left turn for me.
Yeah.
It's not saying that I'm washing my hands of the wizarding world. It's just a matter of, man, like, there's a lot of things that feel like hiccups or stumbles to me with the most recent installment.
Do you think that they, like, had an idea of what they wanted to, like, the direction they wanted to go in and then changed their mind?
No.
Where they're, like, they put things in the movie that they were hoping to set up, but
I
they
imagine
might
there's
not,
some of that for sure.
they
Like,
might
having
not have come to fruition.
I think the biggest problem is this is not a good standalone movie. By itself, this movie
It's definitely a sequel of some.
It's
yeah.
a sequel
setup.
that is setting up
For a third?
more story.
Okay.
For multiple more.
Multiple more? Okay.
I don't remember how many they're doing.
I'll
I
have
think
to
it's
go
like
back
6,
and
but-
do a marathon this week and do a looks over, but yeah, I liked the first one just as its own standalone.
The first one works as a standalone.
Yeah.
The second one doesn't really work as a standalone. It's definitely just building up to something.
Yeah. Well, like we said,
And I don't know
they're
exactly what it is.
they're definitely planning for at least 2 or 3 more movies, so they're not going to just end it there.
I'm gonna laugh really hard if Grindelwald makes it out of this, and it turns out that Grindelwald has been an on par or better than Voldemort that no one addresses in all of Potter.
They just kind of like, it's the man that Voldemort doesn't even speak of type of person.
Yeah, we
They
dare not
talk-
speak Voldemort's name.
They talk about
but
Grindelwald. Not very often because he's fucking dead. Because Dumbledore battled him.
That's what they
and
want you to
won.
believe.
When he had the Elder Wand, how the fuck did he do it? Beast. That's how he did it.
Beast mode. We should introduce ourselves,
breaking
though.
up with him.
Hey,
We're done
everybody.
here.
Hey, everybody. My name is John Tubbs. Welcome to Page Screen and Beyond.
Oh, sorry. I'm
Sorry.
Josh.
Yeah, that's my bad. I kind of did that weird.
No,
Who?
we're having a moment.
I'm
Josh.
Keegan. Keegan Lagerwall. Nice to meet you guys. Hello.
I'm John Tubbs, and you are
I'm Josh. Yeah,
Josh.
Josh Olsen.
Josh-O.
Hello.
Erica's humming in the background. Don't worry about her. She doesn't want to talk to us.
She's cracking up. So this week, right off the top, we got New Mutants, War Children by Chris Claremont on his return to the Mutants franchise. So, yeah, tell us a little about this, Keegan.
Yeah, I'm excited about this in the sense that I know half or maybe a little under of the team's roster that has been presented to us. Chris Claremont is always an important name when it comes to mutant franchise. He's very in touch with the struggle between individual acceptance and unified team forging like objectives.
Yeah.
I love me some magic. I love me Cannonball.
Yeah, there's a lot of new characters in this that I do not recognize at all.
Yeah, I don't know Karma. I don't know half of these motherfuckers, but it's really exciting. Again, the fact that I have new characters that I'm unfamiliar with, but I still have like Sunspot to lean back on.
Yeah.
Do they have information of who does what?
I don't think in this article.
I mean, wikis will be able to tell you any
Yeah.
mutant ability known to man, but
So these aren't
I'll
specifically.
look up the New Mutants
new-
roster.
they're not brand new mutants. Cannonball has been around for decades. You know what I mean? Since like 60s and shit.
What's Cannonball? What's that?
One of the original New Mutants. Imagine like you know how Nova like shoots fire out of his fist like the Human Rocket.
Yeah.
Cannonball is essentially pretty similar, where it's just he's a projectile guy.
Okay.
Does he fly?
He does.
All right.
Cannonball, a 16-year-old from Kentucky, an eventual co-leader with the ability to generate thermochemical energy and propel himself through the air.
Basically, just almost exactly.
Now,
No, but it's
Wolfsbane
different
is
type of
one that
energy.
interesting name, but I
A
know nothing
13-year-old
about it.
religious girl from Scotland, United Kingdom, who can transform into a wolf and a werewolf-like creature.
Good.
Okay, well.
So it's not a misleading
Only
name.
on the full moon. But
Sunspot is a 14-year-old from Brazil who had superhuman strength fueled by sunlight and could store solar energy in his body and use super strength during the night.
Yeah, we saw him in Days of Future Past.
That's right. Mirage is a girl who is from Cheyenne Native American, an eventual co-leader after Karma's apparent death, who could create visual, empathic, three-dimensional illusions.
you can put shit in your head.
She can like project the things from your head into reality.
Ah,
Cypher, an otherwise ordinary young man who could learn to read or speak any language rapidly, whether it was human, alien, machine, making him an unmatched computer expert.
Magic is a total badass, though.
Magic, sister of Russian X-Men Colossus and longtime resident of the X-Mansion, an accomplished mystic who could open teleportation discs. Oh, so like, what's her nuts from, like Strange, or what's her nuts from
Oh, Blink.
Apex Legends. Also
Hannah?
Blink.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mirage.
Mirage. No, Mirage is the holographic
Oh
guy.
yeah, you're right. That's the
I'm trying to think of what her name is.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know.
Yeah. Warlock is an extraterrestrial from techno-organic race known as the Technarchy.
That doesn't tell me anything about
That
what
is
he can do.
nothing.
Techno-organic bleeds into Cable, so you know that there's some label of
Okay.
techno-organic virus is very debilitating, but techno-organic race seems like it's debilitating to humans.
It seems kind of like a xenomorph in a way. Boom, boom.
Are these the ones that are gonna, or is this just like a rundown of who have been?
This
in
is
New
just
Mutants
like
and
who are
characters
in
from the
these.
New Mutants. Yeah.
Right. So again, names I was familiar with was Cannonball, Magic, Sunspot. I was curious about they
Rusty
had,
Collins.
Wolfsbane.
Just a pyrokinetic wanted by the U.S. government. That's cool.
All right then.
Richter is a young Mexican who could create shockwaves. Skids is a former Morlock who could project a frictionless force field around her body.
That's what I love about New Mutants is like you could have names you're super unfamiliar with, like it's not your basic Jean Grey Cyclops.
Well, then
but
you have Domino,
they're still badasses. That
who we all know Domino.
Warpath is also a familiar name.
Cable's pale-skinned,
Shatterstar
black
was in
garbed
Deadpool
mercenary
2.
lover, actually copycat impersonating Domino. Well, spoiler alert. Feral, who is possessed a bestial temperament and appearance. Shatterstar, which we saw in Domino in Deadpool 2.
AKA Domino.
And then Warpath, a younger brother of the slain X-Men Thunderbird, and a former Hellion, an Apache who possesses super strength and speed.
Fearless badass.
So yeah, like pretty solid roster of characters. There's some other ones from New Mutants Volume 2, Volume 3, a couple other ones, but those are the heavy hitters. So yeah.
And I mean, with you being so heavy into tying into what's coming in feature film, we do have New Mutants eventually coming, so it's curious to see how many of these names we may be seeing drop when and if the New Mutants movie ever comes out.
I have a feeling they're going to do the same thing we just kind of read off, where they're going to have a good roster of new people and then 2 or 3 like ones that we know that are kind of in there as like kind of leaders that will eventually either leave or die in some way, and then the new people have to like take up the mantle of that person.
So you're saying New Mutants may be like Suicide Squad, where don't get too attached to any of these
Yeah,
characters?
I could see that, where they, kill off Shatterstar or something like they did in Deadpool.
Oh,
Yeah,
twice.
twice.
Ugh.
Yeah,
No love.
like they'll give him a good run, but I think they have to have someone that you are attached to get taken out so that you become more attached.
A good old Agent Phil Coulson in Avengers.
Mm-hmm. That trope.
Gotta have someone to rally behind.
That trope is used for a reason. So, yeah. And I don't know who this character is, but he looks like the alien from American Dad. So
Meets Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks.
Don't lose how creepy it actually looks. It's not a pleasant looking fellow.
And it's like, this is neck right here?
I don't know.
Or is this his neck? Or is that an arm?
Those might both be
'Cause I
arms,
think-
and his neck might be attached to his chin.
I don't know. He's very... he's an Mobius looking character.
What the hell is going on?
No one knows. I like it though. It's got a good, very sketchy art style, and I say sketchy in
Very simplistic.
in a
like,
in a good way.
rudimentary.
Yeah, there's not like hard bold lines, and it's not super clean. It's very like haphazard, artistic aesthetic, but
Like when you think of newspaper comics.
yeah, like old school newspaper comics. That's definitely got that type of feel. But I like the dark blues with, you know, the glowing random eyes right here.
Yeah, it kind of looks like they only had a certain
totally
amount of
looks like
colors
Hela.
they could use.
Yeah,
it does look like Hela.
I'm pretty sure that is actually.
Very well could be.
She is the goddess of death, so she's got to appear somewhere. I wonder what this Pegasus character is all about.
Hey,
But
man,
yeah, no, it
love-
looks good.
Love the mutant world.
Published
Hoping that it
August
does
1st, 1984. Oh, that's the old New Mutants.
Yep, we're still on that wiki.
Nope.
Oh, wow. Oh, that was a tag to a different one.
Yeah.
Man, New Mutants could be cool.
April 3rd, 2020.
I really liked the horror movie trailer that we got back before it got workshopped to death.
Oh, Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones is going to be in it.
Yeah, and the dude from Stranger Things who plays the older brother to Will. He's awesome.
Jonathan?
Yeah, he's totally in it.
I've never seen that show. I
It's
know
good.
I should watch it. I know.
Yeah.
I heard it's so good.
The second season kind of gets slow, but the third season picks up quick.
Would you put third season of Stranger Things above the first?
No.
Have you watched all of it?
I've watched all of it.
Oh, you still think first season's better than third?
I still think first season.
Man, it's
I don't
a
know.
coin
Like
flip for
it's
me.
the third season is so good for a lot of the like special effects and
There isn't a lack of character building
There-
though. You're still introducing
there's
brand
still
new characters.
there's still new characters. There's still a lot of like elements I like about it. But I just love the mystery aspect of the first season, where you're still trying to figure out what's going on, how it's working, and you know, the behind the scenes type of storytelling. But the one thing I had a problem with the third season is that Mike, was it Mike? The kid who got like taken to the Upside Down. Was that Mike? Or was
No,
that
Mike was the lead kid.
that was the lead kid? Trying to think of his name.
Jonathan's little brother.
Jonathan's little brother,
was-
Will.
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 Yeah,
Will.
you just gotta think of Winona Ryder yelling. If you think of Winona Ryder yelling, it's instantly, who's Winona Ryder yelling? Will!
Yep. One thing I noticed in the third season is that they used a storytelling element a little too much, where whenever the monster was showing up, Will would feel like the hair on the back of his neck stand up.
Season 2, right?
That's season 3. I mean, they do it in season 2 a little bit, but in season 3, they use it like every episode. And it was just like, he would use, at the end of the series or the end of the season, he would start doing it and be like, it's coming, when it's like right behind you. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it was kind of overused in a way.
Spidey sense.
Yeah, it was kind of like a Spidey sense, but it was like, you know, he was connected to the the Upside Down in a way, so he could feel whenever it was near. But it was just used too much, I think. It was used like 3 times too much.
before we get accidentally into spoilers for Josh, let's move on to the Kong.
Yeah.
Which fuck does this confuse me?
So yeah, Dark Horse Comics is taking
It looks like it's King Kong.
It looks
spelled
like
with the C.
Yeah, it's kind of a mystery at this point. Kong with a C, guerrilla warfare.
Which, not gorilla with a U, like gorilla like a monkey. Which, again, 2 times the spelling fucked me when I was...
Gorilla.
Yeah. It's not like guerrilla warfare like G-U-R.
It's gorilla warfare. So
Which it looks like it's a giant monkey, but it's
made
not our
Hey.
Kong.
monkeys have tails, apes do not. That
Our-
is
Our giant ape monster.
Yes. It's a mystery new comic book to be unveiled at New York Comic Con from AWA Studios. I thought it was Dark Horse for some reason. All we have is the cover, which
the fuck
suggested
is
giant
AWA?
gorilla.
Sorry to sideline us.
No,
I
that's
don't
okay.
even know what AWA is. Like a
wonder-
producing studio?
I wonder
When I
what-
read studio, it sounded like it was like
I wonder what they've done in the past.
a production company that does more than just comics.
Let's look up their roster. AWA Studios.
Turns out it's just porn.
Yeah, whatever.
Looks like they do a lot of like
These look like if you were to put illustrations to a lot of like 70s
Bad
radio
Mother.
shows.
yeah.
Like these graphics look like War of the Worlds style serials.
They look like serious graphic novels, is what it is, rather than comic books.
It looks so old school though.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It has a War of the Worlds like serial aesthetic. to it.
Yeah. They got like
radio broadcast that have an animated titch to it.
The Amazing Ordinary, Bad Mother, ETER,
Primos.
Little Freaking Maniacs,
Literally never heard of any of this before.
Moths. Yeah, neither have I.
But I've also never heard of Kong with a C.
Fight
so-
Girls. Fight Girls 4? Or is that just everyone has a number written?
I think it's just
10
Fight Girls.
women, 4 challenges, 1 crown.
Oh, I'd
10
Fight Girls.
hard as nails women face
You
off in
kidding me?
an
That looks
ancient
awesome.
contest of champions where the winner truly takes all.
If
The
nothing
title
else
of
today, I learned
Queen
about
of the
Fight Girls.
Galaxy. To win it,
Here we go.
To win the challenge, each contestant must survive the hazards of the planet's harsh landscape, the ferocious predators on and below the surface, and their fellow contestants. This edition is the contest of twists.
This
Contest
is-
has a twist. One of the contestants is an infiltrator who has her eye on something bigger than the prize. Who is she, and what does she really want?
This is what that After Earth movie should have been.
Oh, I agree.
With Will Smith and Jaden.
Yeah.
Like, you give me Fight Girls, but on the After Earth setting.
Oh, we got T-Rexes and shit. Oh, fuck.
Is this not just like Hunger Games on a different planet?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, with
with
with-
wildly different scenarios, but
with
yeah.
thick ass women.
Yeah.
Listen, I am about this.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm looking into Fight
gonna
Girls after
bookmark
today.
that.
Yeah.
That is a bookmark.
AWA, good on you.
Yeah.
Apparently.
No, they're coming out with a Kong.
The Kong Guerrilla Warfare.
Yeah.
Both spelt wrong. Fucking come at me.
Made up of normal size. It's the cover depicts a giant gorilla made up of normal sized gorillas, symbolic of an army of gorillas. Or is it to be taken more literally? Like they actually form up a giant
So
gorilla.
wait, is it to be taken?
God,
Oh
everything
no!
about this.
That sounds awful.
Everything about this
What
is
if that
fucking
is
confusing.
What if that is the case? That the Kong is not a giant.
I'm going
gorilla?
to be buying this seriously.
not
I need to see what it looks like.
not a giant gorilla, but a giant gorilla
Made up of
Made
tinier
of-
gorillas.
of regular sized gorillas, which gorillas are fucking terrifying anyway. They are.
Just linking up by fucking hands.
They're just sitting
Hands
around
and
being like,
feet.
how can we make Kong more terrifying?
Well, you remember Planet of
you
the
take
Apes?
off Kong's arm, and then you have a fucking 1,000 gorillas coming at your face.
Oh, God.
You remember Planet of the Apes? These apes just got smart and made a giant ape because why not?
Because fuck all.
Wait.
That's why. Wait, is
Can
there...
we link up together? Can humans make bigger humans? Guys, let's take from this.
I think.
Can
not.
we make like a giant Megazord
Have you ever-
style
No,
human
and
of
neither
blinking
can gorillas.
humans?
That's
Have you
why
ever
this is
seen-
in a comic book.
Have you ever seen those videos of the Tower of People? It's like some celebration in like I think it's India where they like all try and like create a tower of people as tall as they can.
No, I've never seen that.
Oh, it's fascinating.
It sounds like a pep rally on steroids.
It basically is. It's like a ceremony in somewhere.
Sounds like something I wouldn't want to be a part of.
It's like the running of the
unless
bulls.
you could move like a Megazord. If you can make this tower of people move in unison so
that's
that
not
you
it.
can throw a punch as like a body of people interlinked by hands and feet.
It sounds great on paper, but there's no way we'd ever be able to do that.
The human mind is astounding.
Not that astounding. I think the human, yeah, we are blocked by our physical capabilities on that one, not our mind, really.
The mind can be a crutch for the body.
Not in what you are trying to.
Tarragona,
Listen,
Spain.
your defeatist
Come on,
mentality
there's
is
no
bringing
way.
me down, and I'm not
I'm
having
sorry.
it.
You go get a bunch of people and try and throw a punch at me, a giant punch.
This
I don't
is.
think so.
I mean, they're
I
building a
hope
leg.
it never happens for your sake.
Look at them. They have to wear helmets and shit.
Of course they do.
Well, yeah, their shoulders and backs are forever fucked. But man, if you get one successful punch off,
I mean, they can basically.
We can go into this if we really want to. There's no way.
you just have to
There's
have
no-
the strongest capable humans at the joints.
Yeah,
If you have the
basically, because
strongest
as soon as
humans
you
at the joints for that swinging
as soon as
motion-
you reach out, all of those people are just gonna go. Flat.
Nope, yeah, you just gotta have the strongest people at the joints, and everyone else just hold on for dear life.
Oh no.
Because you got the strongest people all flexing together to move those muscles.
Do we have to get into a conversation about leverage and how this won't work?
Yeah.
There's no way,
No.
dude.
There's only one way to do it, Keegan, and that's with gorillas.
Yeah, gorillas can do it because they're super strong.
Son of a bitch.
Shit.
What is the Kong? It's not guerrilla warfare, it's gorilla warfare.
I also don't know if it's gonna be like a story. Well, we don't know anything about it. It's gonna get like
Literally did.
officially announced at Comic-Con, but we don't know if it's gonna be like a story about someone who encounters that, or if it's a story about that.
You know, I
As a
thought
whole.
as I'm thinking about it, I was like, it would be really dumb if they made a bunch of gorillas get together. But I mean, a visual of that thing being built by gorillas just getting together sounds more terrifying. Than the
Yo,
giant thing
yeah, I
itself.
think I'd have nightmares actually.
Again, especially since you see little bits of holes in
Yeah.
the arms. Like, that just makes you more scared of if you hit it and that arm comes off and then all of the living gorillas just, like, swarm. Then, yeah, it's no longer an arm swinging at you. It's a fucking 1,000 arms swinging at you.
God damn, that is terrifying. Speaking of terrifying, we got Rick and Morty season 4 teaser trailer came out the other day.
I'd say that's terrifying in the sense of how fourth wall breaking, it punches you in the nose.
Yeah, this was really on the nose with the fourth wall breaking.
No, it like, I have a bloody nose just watching the fucking teaser. It's like, ow!
I haven't seen it.
Ah!
I haven't seen it. I'll be back.
Okay, we can watch it right now.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
fuck yeah, let's
yeah.
pause it. This is, fuck man, it hurts me. I'm gonna take a piss because it hurts me so bad.
All right.
So yeah,
It's,
I like it because it doesn't tell you anything besides the essentials. A, he knows everything. B, he like it doesn't like give away any of the story. It's just like, hey, we're here, it's coming up, like get ready.
I think the most important thing that you're missing here is that none of that actually happened. That's what they're specifically saying.
Yeah.
That scene has nothing to do with the show at all. Specifically, that
Yeah, it's just a
is
throwaway.
not to do with the show. He doesn't know that he's in a show.
Have a good one.
He
See
doesn't know
ya.
it all because this scene doesn't really exist in the show.
In the show itself.
In the actual
We're not
canon.
going to see that when the official like season airs.
I love Rick and Morty. Like, the show is fucking awesome. But this feels
It's
like...
comical genius. But
This, to me, personally, feels like Justin Roiland on defeatist mentality of, like, yeah, the show's gonna been what it's always been, and you're gonna, watch it, and yeah, I don't really give a fuck anymore, guys. Like, I felt like almost the, like, gasp of him going, yeah, I don't really give a fuck. Like,
what are we gonna do for a promo commercial? Well, let's just make
not even so much the promo commercial. I'm worried that's, like, I've always been stoked on Rick and Morty, but this feels like almost Justin Roiland being like, yeah, we're gonna keep making Rick and Morty, and it's gonna be what you know it is, and it's not gonna have like a linear story that really all that much matters. It's just gonna be adventure by adventure, and I don't give a fuck.
Well, what if he wants you to think that, but it's actually going to have connections to the past seasons where it actually, closes off story arcs?
I almost feel like that's a big detachment between us as an audience and Justin Roiland / Dan Harmon as creators, where it's like they were,
because I could see it as a bait and
stoked
switch
on this out the gate.
Yeah,
but like the vibe I got from this and hopefully the season is completely different, but what I got from this teaser, it's like, yeah, we have to do a promo, but we can't give anything away. And even if we could give anything away, it's basically what you know, and it doesn't really matter.
I
think it's good.
No, it was comical.
Nihilism has always been a part of it.
It was on brand.
I think it's
very
more
on
making
brand.
fun of promo commercials is really the goal that they were going after.
Yeah.
It's not saying specifically about their show. They're like, obviously, we're not going to tell you anything.
It's not going to mean anything. It's going to misrepresent the whole show.
Yeah, they're talking shit about promo commercials.
Yeah.
Not talking shit about their show.
And
I think
they got
taking it in a weird way.
They got funded for like 3 new seasons.
Right.
Like, they're good. Like, they're set. So I think what this is literally what they say it in it is where it's just a throwaway, hey,
none of it matters.
None of what you're seeing, don't read into this as like a part of the story. This is just like a reminder of, hey, keep an eye out because it's coming out soon.
Yeah, I think that's what it is too.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a I don't give a shit anymore type of thing. I think you're reading too much into it there. I think they were just trying to find a clever way to come out with a promo without giving anything away.
Right.
And that's the most clever way I've ever seen.
No, it most certainly accomplished a spoilerless promo, which is nice.
Yeah. It didn't give away anything.
Well, and again, you could very well be right that I'm reading way too much into it, but it just seemed like a matter of, like, Justin Roiland has very much been the show. Him and Dan Harmon, but Justin Roiland being the voice of the 2 main leads.
Yeah.
It just seemed like, yeah, you know what you're getting into, fucking buckle up, get ready.
Yeah.
Which,
tell your daddy's
I love Rick and Morty,
idiot.
but it's like, it seemed...
I'm gonna go sit in the garage.
It seemed very unenthused about what's up and coming.
But it's supposed to be unenthused because it's just that's
the
whole
point of the promo commercial.
Right. It's to be unenthused because what is happening isn't actually happening.
This could have actually also been done after they finishing all of this new season, or even season 5. Like they could have.
Now that they could have for more than a season.
They could have cranked out season 4 and 5, and then just be like, "Hey, we need to make a promo commercial real quick.
I think
what can we do?"
Dreaming. They're cranked out season 4 and 5. We gotta wait years for Rick and Morty. You know that.
So I actually saw a video of Dan Harmon.
Takes a long time.
Dan Harmon, I watched a video a few months ago where he said that like we got this deal through, and now we're just cranking it out.
Right.
Like,
Writing
we got
just
more
waiting
people.
Back on animation.
We were able to hire more people and to do like the animation and everything. So like we're just cranking out episodes as fast as we can write them. It's no more like, here's our script. Okay, let's take this to the animator. Okay, we'll do the voices and the animation at the same time, and then it's the whole process. Now it's like they know what they wanted to do, and then they can just send it instead of having to like go through the process of creating the whole thing step by step by step by step by step.
I would
So-
be surprised if they didn't put more story in, if they are able to do this quicker, because that's the big problem with Rick and Morty, is you have to wait so long that it's just like, what happened? You got to rewatch
Yeah.
it every single time a new season comes out, because it's been like 2 years since you've seen it.
Well, they only
Which
had
isn't like
I
a
know.
grind. It's
No, it's quick.
yeah.
and
But that's
also
the part that bothers me.
enjoyable.
It takes so long, and
That's why I'm
it's not that
excited.
much for how long it takes.
That's why I'm excited that
but
they
it sounds like it's gonna be quicker. So.
were able to get like more animators, because that's really in the production process. That's where like you start getting bogged down, is in the animation process, because when you record something, you have to go back and match up the animation. Like, you have the storyboards and everything. You basically storyboard, record the audio, and then you go back and animate the actual thing.
Yeah, because you're not going to try and lip sync to the animation.
Yeah.
You're gonna try and
Animate to the words.
audio.
Yeah. So I think what happened is they got like all the animators they could hope for, and then all they have to do is just write and record and then just send it, rather than having to go back and forth. Because I've heard Bill Burr talk about his process, or the process that they did for F is for Family, and doing the animation process and going back and forth is the thing that takes the most time.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have all the production people that they can get on it, I think season 5 is already done, and they're just finishing it up, basically doing the tweakings, and then they're working on season 6 already. I think they're already ahead that far.
I mean, it's super ambitious, but not altogether impossible.
Yeah. But either way, I like the little teaser. It's good. It's on brand. It's very much like Deadpool-esque, where it's like, hey, everybody, you know who I am. Fuck you. Watch the shit. So, yeah. Rick and Morty, season 4. When is it
November.
out?
We don't have
Is
an
it
exact
November?
release date.
Rick and Morty, season 4.
Yeah.
Have you guys
We're
ever
assuming
watched-
because of the turkey promo. That's why I was like, oh, it could be like late November. But
17th.
We haven't
scheduled.
Exact. Okay.
Exact scheduled. 17th.
Sure. Not too far out.
I'm ready.
Yep, I'm ready for it. My body is ready. Right before Thanksgiving, so y'all can be watching it while you're dealing with family bullshit.
You guys ever watch the show Shameless?
Yes.
When they do it's one of my favorite things that they do, because they break the fourth wall every single time in a weird way.
Yeah.
Where they just bitch at you for not watching the episode before they do the rundown of what happened the episode before.
Yep.
And it's just fucking hilarious.
I love
every
it.
time.
Every time. What the fuck are you still doing here?
Yeah.
You already know what happened. And then they say what happened.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
And it's like after the episode happened, so it's like, yeah, it's just, yeah. It's a good way of like catching people up each episode. It gives
it's just a way to say like this happened and then go into the new episode. It's
Yeah.
just-
and you can, it's really easy to just jump into that show, and that's one thing
I love that show.
I
It's so
love.
good.
It's so good. I just watched the last episode with what's her nuts when she leaves.
Fiona.
Fiona, yeah.
Yeah, we just watched that too. Spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Ah shit.
Oh God! Oh no! Ah!
Fiona leaves, but we already like knew she needed to leave because she's a bitch.
Oh, they're all bitches.
Self-sabotaging asshole.
Bitches and dicks, dude.
Yeah.
That whole family's fucked.
Next thing on screen, though, we got Feige.
Oh yeah.
He's doing a Star Wars from Kevin Feige.
Feige is doing us a Star Wars.
Which, my biggest thing that I'm excited about for this conversation is how blind and in the dark we are, because Feige can do anything at this point. Like, we don't have set terrain he can go through and set terrain he can't. So, where is his passion? Is he setting up for a whole other succinctly different franchise the way he did with the MCU, where like it's characters we're maybe a little bit familiar with that he's gonna build an entire franchise off of? Like, can I give my ideal pitch before we get too heavy into this?
go for it.
I've been thinking about this. Kevin Feige is great at taking things that people kind of roll their eyes at until the MCU gets their hand on it, and then it's like, oh, this is how it's always should have been. You know, Iron Man, no one really knew about Iron Man before the first MCU movie. Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, you know, the list goes on of properties that people didn't have a whole lot of exposure to, but it's like, oh, this is how it always should have been.
Yeah.
Ahsoka Tano. I want to see Anakin's apprentice from the Clone Wars era. And I don't know the entire Ahsoka story based off of the cartoons of, like, because I know she has some influence in Attack of the Clones, Clone Wars, and some in Rebels, I believe. But one of the most popular characters that has not had a live action feature length debut, I think this would be right up Kevin Feige's alley of having a very popular character that isn't maybe super well known to people that are, you know, like just movie fans. Because, you know, it's cartoons, so anyone who's like Star Wars cartoons, I don't give a fuck. They have zero exposure to one of the coolest characters being Anakin's apprentice, who, as Vader is falling to the dark side, she is rising to combat her former master. I mean, granted, we know ultimately
She ends up becoming a good person, right?
She starts and always is a good person.
Oh, okay.
No, she's not Vader's apprentice. She's
Anakin's apprentice.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
like,
right.
So in the Clone War era, before he becomes Vader, she is traveling along with Anakin and going through a lot of bullshit through being Padawan to Jedi Knight to, I mean, she works her way up to essentially a Jedi Master, but in very war-torn times.
Rosario Dawson. I don't know, this is just I don't think that's actual casting, but that would be a good casting for it.
I would be cool with them doing a completely CG character if they have the original voice actress from the cartoons playing Ahsoka.
I don't think I ever watched the cartoons.
She,
I think I watched a couple episodes, but it was like random.
and like the fact that you can go from this to that, like the transition of how her character develops from being a legitimate kid to a war-torn Jedi fucking knight, like, Ahsoka's a badass.
Yeah.
And the fact that we have so limited exposure to with people who haven't watched every episode of the cartoons or animated series or, you know what I mean, whatever may have you.
I'd like to see Rosario Dawson.
It doesn't, I mean, in my opinion, it does not matter about the casting. If we have Feige involved in a spin-off of a female-driven Star Wars movie.
Especially something that deals more with, like, the inner workings of the Jedi Order or the Sith Order.
Pre-fall.
Yeah, pre-fall.
Yeah, pre-Order 66.
Yeah. That would be really cool to see, like, the dilemma in all of that. Yeah, Kevin Feige taking over the Star Wars universe has me excited and what's a good word for it? Cautiously optimistic. I don't want it to get turned into just like a new Marvel franchise where they're just trying to crank out as many as possible and then it gets diluted.
You mean like they just did?
Yeah.
Do you think Marvel's diluted right now?
No, I'm talking about Star Wars did this.
Star Wars.
They tried to do so many different movies and just kind of.
I think they had they didn't focus it as much as they should have. How do I elaborate on that? With this new trilogy, they kind of just copy and pasted the ideas from the original trilogy and just put them on new faces and then are kind of building off of that. They're not really jumping into a new planet species struggle. It's kind of the same struggle, just on a new skin. And I don't want. I know Feige is good at finding the nuggets of gold in stories and kind of bringing those to light. Like you said, Iron Man. We never thought that Thor would actually get a good movie like Ragnarok.
Let me ask you a question real quick. In that, do you think if Feige were to, let's say, in a weird Elseworld or potential future scenario, Kathleen Kennedy, the current
CFO of,
manager, right? Like
at Disney.
If Kathleen Kennedy leaves Star Wars and has Feige replace her, do you think Feige can run Star Wars? And if that's the case, do you think Feige has someone competently ready to replace him at MCU? Like, could we see Feige altogether disconnect himself from Marvel now that he had it as Infinity Saga? Like, we've had Feige's Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Now going into future Disney Marvel properties, could we see Feige go to a different branch of Disney, making a Feige Star Wars franchise, and then having someone take over for Feige on the MCU front?
I think that's reasonable.
I mean, I might be interested in that.
If there's anyone that I hope would take over, it would be James Gunn. But
For Star Wars?
For Marvel.
In my opinion,
Taika Waititi?
Taika Waititi would be a good choice.
Taika Waititi is in the vein of what Marvel is right now.
Yeah. Taika Waititi and James Gunn, I think, have a good hold on what...
And the Russos.
And the Russo brothers, but that's
that's a four horsemen of Marvel as opposed to a one Feige.
I think you can remove Feige from the scenario and still have solid Marvel movies.
Right. It's just a matter of if Feige's as competent as he's always been, he's not leaving Marvel without someone suitable to take the reins from him.
Yeah.
Someone he's already probably been grooming for a while.
Well, let's not, consider Feige the all-knowing being of everything. He definitely is good at his job, but I wouldn't consider him
He's a fantastic producer.
I wouldn't consider him infallible or
and that's one of my worries
or irreplaceable.
Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I know he's from the videos I've seen of him recently with all this news happening. He's talked about how when he was growing up, he loved three things. It was video games, Star Wars, and comic books. Those were his three things. Mm-hmm. And if he produces Star Wars the same way that he's done the last 10 years of Marvel, I have good feelings about it. I just don't want to watch a Star Wars movie that comes out of a Kevin Feige production and be like, oh, this reminds me of this Marvel movie or this Marvel movie. And I don't want to get taken out of it because I know that he helped produce it.
He has a genuine love and understanding of these universes, and I don't think that
I don't think it will. That is
Marvel
just my fear. That is just my fear.
If you do, because to feed into what Josh just said, I think if you feel a Feige influence in a Star Wars movie, with you saying one of his three big loves is Star Wars, if you feel a Feige influence, I feel like that's going to be more of a familial connection, a tether to your fandom.
I can see how I was looking at it in a weird way, but
right, because it's if Star Wars, for Josh has felt very disjointed in the past few movies.
I'm excited about this because maybe I can start to like Star Wars again. That'd be great.
Right, he's been disjointed from Star Wars because it's felt so disconnected. But if you have a true Star Wars fan, having it be his bread and butter in his forefront, using all of his knowledge, experience, and
and of course,
extending reach.
And of course, we know that George Lucas is going to be more heavily involved.
I feel like that's a bit of an assumption.
I assume that, yes, but I think Kevin Feige wants it to be original, or not original. Well, an original story, but also have those deep connections to the original universe. And having the person who fucking wrote the thing back in the 70s and directed the thing, and his input is definitely paramount to creating something that's both.
I don't know. It's kind of scary.
Paramount's a big word.
It's-
Having him as a consultant,
For sure.
yeah, having his input, cool. It's not like Feige's going to be tethering his vision off of Lucas's approval.
Yeah, no, not by that. I don't mean anything by that, but I know.
If George Lucas has too much say in it, it might just end up being the same exact shit that's been happening the whole fucking
But that's
time.
why I like Kevin Feige coming in, because he can definitely approach this with a new, updated, like, hey, I know what the kids want,
You know,
and
who I
you know
really
what
hope-
the original story is, so let's combine the two.
I just like him because he's gonna be like, you know, it would be cool if this happened, and then he's just like, I'm gonna do that.
I'm gonna make that happen.
Yeah.
Then. Yeah. No,
That's the way that it should go.
That's
Not, I don't think he concerns himself as much as other people do with how much
Producers
money is
and
it going to
directors.
make. What's the safest way to do this?
They
which
just
is
wanna-
what we fucking see with the Star Wars
Yeah.
right now, and it pisses me off.
Yeah, he wants to make something that's lasting and good.
Yeah, make something that's surprising.
Yeah.
It's got to be better, and I
Mhm.
think he's capable.
Yeah, I have faith in it. I have faith in him. I'm excited. I don't think we're gonna start seeing anything come out until probably next holiday season, if not the next one after
I'd say a
that.
couple
21. Yeah,
Are you saying as far as like
we're not gonna.
news on what Feige's movie
Yeah.
is gonna be?
All we've
New-
heard so far is that he's taking over production in the next installment of Star Wars.
Feige's
So we
Star
don't even-
Wars
yeah.
contribution is probably not going to be officially announced until D23 next year. So like,
If anything, it's just going to be teased as like,
Au-
hey,
August next year is
yeah,
when I would expect Feige news as
Yeah.
far as his official like we're hearing rumblings that he's getting involved, but we won't hear what the project that Feige's working on
yeah.
until D23 next year.
I don't even know
Which,
if
I mean-
we'll get many details on the project even by next year.
No,
be
I would
surprised.
even push that to 2021, honestly.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And the
if we
more
get,
time
like,
they
a
take on that,
title.
the better.
A
But
title, maybe.
we might get a
Yeah.
title. We're definitely probably going to get a tease for a title of some kind that'll get people like, oh, fuck.
Right. About a year from now, we'll have a title of what Kevin Feige's working on.
Yeah.
It's a lot of speculation up until that point. Shifting gears.
So, yeah.
No appropriate segue.
Heyo, we're gonna talk about something else now.
Hey, speaking of something else, The Last of Us. Now for something completely different. The Last of Us 2 is coming out. When is that coming out? Is that
2/21. I have it memorized
Oh,
now
that's right,
because
yeah.
I'm fucking so stoked on this.
I was gonna say it's earlier this next year.
No, man, 2/21. I have it embedded in me. I'm so stoked on Last of Us 2.
I am thoroughly impressed with what I've seen so far in the gameplay. It seems very similar to the smoothness of Uncharted games, where you're kind of like, you're not literally playing like from point A to point B, but like the smoothness of the motions and the animations and everything are very much natural looking, and that amount of detail in a game is what I'm looking for, especially on this next gen console type shit. And I have only played about half of the first Last of Us.
You're a monster.
What? I almost threw myself onto my back of my head, throwing myself out of the chair.
I know the story. I've had it spoiled for me.
Play
But-
it. I don't care.
That's
But
whatever.
I don't have a
disgusting.
PlayStation, so I need.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
You want to
It's
borrow
the-
my
hold on.
PlayStation? I have
No,
a PlayStation
hey,
3. You can take it and
kinda,
play it.
yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna use this as a segue promotion because it's the free game next month. The
Oh.
original Last of Us next month for October, with it being the spook season.
Sure.
We're getting Last of Us as the free game for PlayStation for one of the 2 free games next month.
So I might need to borrow that
PlayStation 4?
PlayStation.
Is it the remastered Last of Us?
I don't fucking know if remaster, but we're getting a
We're
Last
getting
of Us as
it.
a free game.
If it's
Yeah.
on 4, that's. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd play through it again. It's been a while. I should brush up.
I
The
most
next
certainly
one's
would.
going to-
After, did you see the trailer? Like what we got? Why we're discussing this right now,
No.
along with the release date, we got another trailer. Let's give it a pause.
Yeah.
Let's give it a pause and watch this
There's no
because
video on here.
based off of watching the trailer, there's more to discuss about how we feel about it. Yeah, the release date trailer.
That's 13 minutes long.
Yeah, no, that's not this one.
This gameplay. Oh, no, it's not. It's just somebody talking about the shit we want to see.
Even yeah, that's developer footage. There's a legitimate trailer for just like a quick synopsis.
Here, let's do.
Release date trailer was the third one down. Oh yeah, fuck all of this.
This looks so good.
I'm gonna cry more than once probably.
Is this going to be more open world?
They say it's not open world, but it's definitely the largest game they've ever made.
Good. It shouldn't be open world. The linear story was very important, and you can get lost in open world games. And I
Yeah.
just want the story.
Yeah.
That's what I want out of this.
You only played how much?
Halfway through, so.
I know.
This game is so good. It's like seeing the sequel is like, oh, it's so much more than we already got. Real zombies?
They had real zombies before. And then they transmorph into the ones where they didn't have the eyes.
Is it bad that I want to stab Joel in the face?
Yeah, kinda.
A little bit.
You didn't finish.
You don't
Shut
know
up.
shit. You don't know the emotions. You may have heard the story, but you don't know.
I want to stab Joel in the fucking mouth. Because he doesn't get to die from a temple shot.
That's too quick.
Nope. You go for the mouth, give him some Joker scars.
But.
Good.
Yeah. So, we got some weather elements that I'm excited for.
And dogs.
And dogs.
Fuck yeah, the dog element of combat that we were missing from The Last of Us 1.
Yeah.
Erica? Felt like she was reacting to the dog combat.
Do you think that we're gonna have clicker animals,
I hope not. I don't think it's necessary.
or do you think it's just gonna be
Demo
humans?
dogs! Oh, you're not on Stranger Things.
No,
No,
it's
yeah.
not.
He doesn't.
I don't know.
You'll figure it
I
out.
don't know what you're talking about.
Close enough.
Cause yeah, if they're gonna be doing like more, right? More in general, I would hope, and if they're gonna have that level of graphics quality, I would hope that they would actually have like zombified animals.
I don't necessarily care that much about this in such a narrative heavy game. Like,
Sure.
to the point where it's like, you shot someone, and then I don't know if that's going to be in-game or, like, story footage of, like, you shoot someone, and then someone else hits you with an arrow, and then all of a sudden you have to pull an arrow out of your chest.
I think they might.
Is
That'd
that
be
pulling
sweet.
arrow out of your chest a part of, like, the combat? So, like, that person's still alive up there, or you had to kill that person before you start pulling the arrow out of your chest?
That'd be cool.
Because, like, you got hit with an arrow, now you gotta pull an arrow out of your chest. Is that a part of just regular-ass gameplay? Or, like, story, narrative, linear function of, like, no, that's a specific enemy who's named that shot you in
And
your
with this
chest.
game, I don't know. That's yeah,
It could be one or the other.
yeah. Because it looked like she got shot like
Like, if
in combat.
If any enemy hits you with an arrow and then you have to pull that arrow out of you, that's a whole fucking layer of the game that we haven't dealt with.
Yeah, because like,
properly
what
yet.
if you get shot in the leg, and then like you're hobbling and your motion is like hindered because of that?
Right.
Like
Until you pull the arrow out of you, and then even
Then
after that,
you can wrap
it's
it.
still
and-
it's still not helped all that much. but
Yeah.
At least you're less likely to die. It's taking less health damage.
That would
away
be a
from you.
serious game changer, pun intended, for a game like this, because it just adds that extra level of realism to it, where like depending on where you're hit, you have to pull it out of that area instead of just having like a singular animation where it's like patching up your arm or something when you
Man,
get shot in the head.
And they've
you know?
already showed so much realism just with like character narrative.
Well,
in this
character
game.
narrative, and also like one thing I noticed in
Tough.
the
Last of Us is gonna break my heart all over again.
Yep. For
one
sure.
thing I noticed in the demo gameplay that they showed at E3, was it last year? That when you shoot someone with an arrow, you can go back to that person and like remove the arrow, and it puts it back in your backpack.
Yeah.
So I have a
feel like
feeling.
that's a different side of it as opposed to pulling it out of yourself mid combat.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, where you have to make the decision: do you
Do
pull
you-
out like a different weapon because you can't use your arm anymore and shoot
Yeah.
the guy, or do you like hide behind cover and pull that arrow out and try and make it so you can shoot the guy with your bow or something?
So many decisions.
Yeah, Last of Us is dope.
But I mean, realistically, with a game, with another Last of Us game, the gameplay looks awesome,
Yeah.
but it's not the most important part of the Last of Us game
No.
at all.
Oh, you're still very much worried about that narrative, aren't
very,
you?
very much.
Even
afraid.
after that trailer?
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, this is the problem. It's a sequel, and it's like it's not as much as before where I was like they said that they weren't going to do this. Now they're doing it. It's more like the second one is notoriously not as good as the first one most of the time.
Yeah. Because you like that nostalgia value of the first one.
Can we come back to this after you've finished the game? Because
Yeah.
I was about to give my pitch for what I think Last of Us 2 narratively could be based off of the end of the first one, but I don't want to spoil it for Tubbs because of the fact that, like, the end of the first game has a very important end that impacts where the sequel is going to go. And I feel like what Ellie learns is going to be her driving character force for the plot for the sequel because of how the first game ended.
I know she has, spoiler alert, I know she has like the cure for the thing in her blood,
Yeah. Well,
but I never got to the ending, so I don't know.
Play the game, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
You're like tiptoeing around things that's like you're about to be drowning in above neck deep water. It's a fucking lot.
and it's
Okay.
very important because
It's impactful.
When
Not
you-
just important, but like matters to you.
It's emotionally impactful.
And when you play the game, you feel like your work is leading towards something. The gameplay that you do is leading towards something, and you get to certain parts in the story, and you get totally immersed into the story.
Yeah,
You have to
crescendos.
play through
Yeah.
the game. It's fantastic.
I gotta finish
Just
it.
the flow of that game.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
can't believe
Trinkle
you
played
could
it in
play-
24 hours.
I can't believe you can play half of that game and then stop.
Oh, it's
That's
been-
amazes me. It seems
It's been
insane.
eating me up inside ever since.
It seems insane.
I've been meaning to buy a PlayStation specifically
I
to
just want
play
to throw
Last
a
of Us.
brick in a bottle at someone now.
Oh man, it hurts. It just sucks. It sucks, man. You gotta do it. I'm
Yeah,
probably
I
going
gotta
to
do
do it soon. I'm gonna replay.
No,
I
next
have
month
it.
it comes out for free.
Yeah.
No,
That's a
I
pilgrimage.
mean, I have it. I on go. I might as well get it.
Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah,
Why
right.
not? All right.
All right, so literally changing gears now.
Oh, hey!
We have Tesla may soon have their own battery
What's the Tesla equivalent of revving an engine?
Revving an engine.
revving the motor, the little,
Hold on. Just don't make any noise. No, too much
no,
noise.
too much noise.
Oh wow, Tesla's really fucking with it.
There we go. We got it.
Oh wow!
You want to hear what a Tesla NASCAR race would sound like?
And then the people in the crowd are just golf clapping.
Oh yeah, not even that. You have to. Hey,
I think a horse race is more exciting than. I don't know. When do you think they'd have a electric car NASCAR race?
Shut the fuck
all
up.
electric?
You shut your mouth.
I don't think it'll be.
Stop it.
Are you talking to ghosts?
Who isn't?
Oh. Yeah, because they had.
Sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
Tesla NASCAR.
So yeah, well they had. I don't know. This isn't really like reality, but they had the electric.
Million mile hour.
Well, they had the electric car in that Cars 3 movie. And
No.
I don't know.
now
I'm just
there's,
like,
things
do you
are
think
happening now
that
just
they'd
didn't
have?
expect.
Well, I know we're definitely going to see a Tesla be the pace car for NASCAR for sure. At least coming up soon, if it hasn't already happened. Because it's always been like a Corvette or a Camaro or some like muscle car, but like I don't know. I think we're going to probably see. Well, I mean, I was watching the not Nuremberg race, but there was a race that was happening a few months ago where like all of these car manufacturers, Ferrari, Lamborghini, they all bring their like super souped up cars to this one track and they try to get the best time. I forget what it's called.
Hopefully not the Nürburgring. That thing's
No, the Nürburgring is to figure out how good your car is.
all around good because it's got everything. What's that?
Yeah. Oh, go for it.
No cookies for you.
You better talk about some kind of novel that you like if you're coming in here for a cookie.
Yeah, she
Good
didn't
point.
buy the
Yeah.
cookies, you guys. She
Yeah,
can
you
buy
don't
the
have to do
cookies.
that. You're good.
Just want Erica to talk novels because
I mean, we
such
could
a
set it
wide
up.
gap.
No, but they
knowledge.
had
We'll talk to you about it.
yeah.
Of course.
Sorry, Tubbs.
Let's get back to your Tesla.
Well,
Nürburgring.
at this race they had a drone car do the race, where there's no driver, like at all, and it was an electric car that was no driver, and they put the put the info into the car, and then it drove as fast as it could around the track.
5 years away from Sky.
So I'm thinking, how soon would it be until we see like either in a whole other race where it's all electric cars doing a race, or like having an electric car in a NASCAR race of some kind, or like hybrid cars in a NASCAR race, or even Formula One for that matter.
Okay,
Like I know there's a lot of engineering problems to get around with like the battery and the weight issue, but
let me switch this to a pilot argument because that's the best connective tissue I have for this. Is you can have unmanned drones that can do a lot of things that pilots can't.
yeah,
But then you have intuition that pilots have that technology does not.
yeah.
So you
Passing and certain other
you can
maneuvers.
have programmable NASCAR races that are basically whoever has the best stats on their car is more likely to win than not.
Yeah.
Without random variables coming into effect,
Sure.
as opposed to human pilots driving cars having human like either proficiencies or drawbacks
Yeah.
affecting the outcome.
Also, with electric cars, if there's a crash, it's usually pretty bad.
If electric cars have a crash, then there's no human lives lost, as opposed to how many
Yeah, if
lives
they're
we've
doing
lost in legitimate NASCAR.
Well, I agree. Yeah.
Well.
Rest in peace, Dale Earnhardt.
I mean,
But
whatever. Take the human out of NASCAR, and nobody's gonna watch it.
Take
I mean,
the-
but he's talking about not a non-human driver. He's talking about putting an electrical car.
yeah,
into a
I still
race.
want to
No,
have.
that's what I'm
I
saying.
still want to
But
have
that's-
human
that's
pilots.
That's RC cars.
Yeah.
No,
Like, that's-
not a remote control car, not a
You're-
self-driven car. He's talking about an electric car with a human driver. aren't
Yeah,
you?
yeah. I would hope that what we would see would be human pilots with electric cars that are
That's
good.
just as dangerous as NASCAR.
Yeah, we're not trying to take away the danger.
We're not. Yeah, there's no negating of the dangers here. It's always going to be dangerous going 200 plus miles an hour around a fucking ring.
Unless you take all the drivers out of there, and then who wants to watch it?
That's kind of
Whose
what I thought.
computer is best?
I mean,
No, and that's what I thought you were
Well,
pitching.
here's the thing. You got these drone races right now with the little drones. So
Drone racing is super cool because it's pilots flying through an obstacle course in the air.
But I'm thinking, like, how much of a stretch would it be to have NASCAR pilots put on a VR headset and drive remote control cars around a track? Still have the human element. You negate all of the nix all of the safety concerns because your pilots are in the center of the track, basically. You can still have your favorite drivers. You still have your favorite cars. In fact, the car
and you
is
have
separate.
way more accidents because they'll take those risks because they're not in that car.
Yes.
Yes,
Exactly.
I see your pilotless derby, and I raise you a gladiator ring.
Okay.
Like,
Well, we need full functioning robots for that.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
No, I was
But
gonna say, fuck driving around a ring without anyone in the cockpit. Just have people in a ring fighting each other to the death.
yeah, well,
Let's go the flip 180. If
For
you're gonna have
sponsors.
Tesla cars that are gonna have every human be safe, you gotta balance it out with having another arena where every human doesn't have a vehicle and they're just slashing away at each other.
Oh wait, we're actually using real humans on that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. No,
We're just-
I'm down for that.
we're just going back
I'm
to
not
straight
going to be
gladiators.
involved.
Yeah, if there's not gonna be
I'll
humans
watch it.
in NASCAR, you gotta put those humans into a gladiator ring. Because those same people that are risking their lives for sports entertainment.
bread and
They
circus,
gotta go
my
somewhere.
friends.
We gotta be
bread,
killing somebody.
Someone's gotta be putting their life on the line.
bread and circus.
Otherwise, it's fucking drone racing.
Yep.
And drone racing doesn't affect anyone
Ah,
except stock market.
yeah, and the drone racers. I get it.
It'd be cool. I
But,
like your
I don't know.
idea.
Yeah.
It would be cool.
I'm interested to see if that's even being considered, because like with the
I think we're kind of far away from it.
well,
to be honest.
Porsche just came out with their own electric car. I know that Ferrari is also working on their own fully electric supercar.
So you're talking completely different circuit. A non motorized.
Non
but, like
combustion
yeah, electric
races.
circuit.
Yeah.
Electric circuit.
literally
is what
electric
you're looking
circuit.
for.
Yeah.
It would have to be because you can't really. You
You
put
can't
those-
meld the two.
No,
right.
because they work completely different.
I mean, putting a combustion engine next to an electric engine would be like racing a literal horse with a car.
I disagree.
Have you ever driven a Tesla?
No, I've never. But I definitely disagree.
Okay, maybe like an older like 1920s car compared to a horse.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
Not
want,
like
you on your body want to race a horse?
What?
Just outrun a horse.
That's not what he said. He said a horse versus a car.
Yeah, and that's essentially the difference between you racing a horse.
yeah.
Yeah. I suppose, but
Yeah.
I don't know. The comparison. Yeah, the first cars for sure.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. I'm excited, but yeah, Elon Musk this April is promising that they're developing a new battery that is able to get 1 million miles out of its lifetime, which I know sounds like a lot, but right now,
Swapping car parts out and
yeah,
it's a longer lasting battery. I don't know how much 1 million miles really attributes to in the lifespan of like a vehicle, but 1 million miles will probably like
well, that means
save you an engine swap out on your current vehicle.
well, yeah, right now the battery that's in the Tesla Model 3, I believe, gets 500,000 miles
So you're saying
total
it's
in its
double,
lifetime. So
right.
it's double. So basically, you would like if you've driven 500,000 miles already in a Tesla and you have to replace your battery. Like the battery is the most expensive thing to replace in the car because it takes the most materials and it takes the most energy to make.
It's destroying the environment
And, yeah.
everyone as well, just so
And-
everyone knows.
Having a battery that lasts longer.
It does.
We're gonna wait till we go off air. But Green Earth, Josh, are you fucking kidding me?
I'm not big on
Okay.
the whole green earth thing. I just hate when people get in an electric car and say they're doing the earth any good.
It's
They
a
have
small
to-
step in the right direction. I get it that batteries.
Okay.
Okay, I get that batteries are still bad for the environment. 100%.
You don't think they use all the oil to dig up the materials to make those batteries? I mean,
Yeah, but it's better than digging up oil and then burning it into our
That's
atmosphere.
exactly
Guys,
what they do
guys.
to get the shit for the batteries.
Look at our time clock right now.
What are we at?
No, we need to talk Spidey.
Oh, 145.
Oh,
okay.
yeah, we really.
No. Yeah.
Okay, so Spider.
Josh wants Spider-Man. This is why I saved it for last, because I knew that it was going to be the final.
He's back in the Marvel universe, and we're crazed about this shit. Look out.
I love Spidey. I'm not the biggest fan of Tubbs' new Spider-Man song, but I do love Spidey.
Hey, that's a hit.
Spidey's my boy.
That's going to be a hit with the kiddos.
The kids are gonna love this.
Kid's going to love this. So, I guess with this, what kind of deal do you think that Disney and Sony worked out?
Did they release any of that?
And that's why they didn't. I'm laughing so hard because Disney flexed Sony for 50. They went from like 10% to 50%.
Yeah.
And it's like, Sony's like, we're leaving. You want 50% of what? Eat a dick. Bye. And
Yeah.
they're like, well, we heard what people are saying. How much do you really want? Like,
How can we make this as even as possible?
Are they coming for the full 50 still? Like, did Sony be like, okay, we'll give you 50? Like, is Disney at 50%?
I think Disney
for
pulled back. I think Disney pulled back to 40 or 45%.
Yeah, it was a complicated deal to begin with, and there's a lot of moving pieces in it.
I think-
Talking percentage-wise isn't going to do it because that's not what they were going off of in the first place.
Well, that was Disney what was going for. Because
They were
Disney
going
was like,
for-
no, Disney was like, we can do without Spider-Man. We just got all of Fox. Like, we got all of Fox. If you guys want a dip set, fine, we had our fun. And then they're like, oh, you guys are really good without us? We got Venom, and we're going to have Spider-Man and Venom and Spider-Verse. And if you heard about Morbius, we got Madam Web on the way. And it's like, what? Okay, have fun, bye. And then they're like, oh, wait, Kevin Feige's doing a Star Wars? Shit, let's get back on that Marvel train.
Anime titties
Anime
and
titties.
ass.
Sorry.
Don't get sidetracked by the anime titties.
I
Stop it.
know.
We have
That's my
important
bad.
Spider-Man to discuss before wrapping out.
I need to-
Sorry, yeah.
Fuck the anime titties later.
I need to extend my
I will not be fucking
wallpaper
anime
time.
titties.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for him to be back. I'd like to.
don't give a fuck.
You don't give
Like
a
if
fuck
I'm
about
if I'm
him
being
being back?
blunt at this point, like
You'd
I-
rather him not be in the MCU?
after we have gotten the kerfuffle that we have gotten in, it's like, okay, if he's with Marvel, he's gonna be able to interact with maybe mutants. We don't know what Marvel is doing moving forward. If he stays with Sony, okay, Venom's happening with or without Spider-Man. Obviously with Spider-Man. So we have a Venom with Spider-Man, regardless of what happens with the MCU. We have Spider-Man coming back to the MCU to do what?
To be like the
To do a
face of
third
it.
movie,
I mean,
yeah.
Not,
took
the,
out-
not the motherfucking face. That's
Basically.
silly. No. He's the
Eh.
face of Sony
Who's
and a contributing part of the MCU.
okay? So who's the face of the MCU?
Currently, Doctor Strange and or Scarlet Witch. Currently, with what we're looking at moving forward between WandaVision and the Multiverse of Madness, the main emphasis of this next phase is multiverse, and that's Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange. Spider-Man is an ancillary character in our current phase.
And a tough nut for Sony to swallow. That's a good way of putting
Oh, sorry, I couldn't swallow that nut.
Whatever. I love Spidey. He was in there and he belongs.
I
in
love
there.
Spider-Man to death, but I'm going to make it so abundantly clear that Spider-Man would have done fine with Sony with Tom Holland, because at least a movie or two with Tom Holland doesn't fucking matter what the tie into the MCU is. You have Tom Holland in a spider suit, you got gold. You got the quippy,
That's fine.
athletic Spider-Man with good animation.
They don't have.
Doesn't
they
matter
wouldn't
what
have
you put
really
him
had
against.
Tom Holland without Disney. Disney did the casting.
And, I mean, they had him because of Disney, but Sony owns Tom Holland Spider-Man. So if they were to do another Tom Holland Spider-Man without any MCU, they could have. Like, they could have had a Tom Holland without any MCU, and Spider-Man still would have been a thing.
Or they could have rebooted Spider-Man, had it be
No, they
another
wouldn't
piece
have.
of shit.
They would not have rebooted. They would not have let Tom Holland not be their Spider-Man. Tom Holland was their Spider-Man moving forward. Did you see the Wolf of Wall Street? Is that what it is? Leo.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking leaving! Woo! The crowd lit up for Tom Holland not leaving. But what the fuck does that mean?
Try not to slam the tables.
That was excessive.
I'm sorry.
That's
how I felt reading / listening to like Tom Holland posting that little Twitter caption.
I'm
of,
surprised you're so.
Wolf of
I
Wall
don't
Street.
give a shit about him being in the MCU. It's important. He's established himself in a place, and they're gonna not reference it in a new Spider-Man, but it's the same Spider-Man, but he didn't exist there because they can't reference it. It's gonna be a pain in the fucking ass. And on the other end, we're gonna make a bunch of MCU movies, but we can't reference Spider-Man because we can't talk about him anymore, like he never existed. It would fuck up both franchises if they were split apart.
Who aside from Tony Stark would have been talking about Iron Man?
Spider-Man.
No, in the MCU, because you can have Spider-Man without the MCU. Who in the MCU would have been talking about Spider-Man aside from Tony Stark, who's not
Anybody
dead? Spoiler alert.
who had experienced anything with Spider-Man, which is basically everyone. Basically everyone has experienced it.
Doctor
They
Strange
don't need
doesn't
to.
give a fuck about Spider-Man.
They don't
Captain
need to.
Marvel doesn't give a fuck about Spider-Man. Like, who came in contact with Peter in the MCU that has a tethering connection to Peter Parker, to Spider-Man? Like, Shuri, maybe?
Okay, that's fine, but how about the other way around? The whole build-up of this Spider-Man that we've seen so far is in the MCU. Having Tony Stark having his so-called internship at Stark whatever.
He still
It's
has
like-
Kraven the Hunter and an entire Spider-Verse.
But he doesn't have his
of
past
rogues
that
gallery.
has built him up to where he is. He doesn't have it. Because they
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to reference it.
That all
It would
gets
be a pain in
negated.
the ass. It would be like they would have to start over from fresh with Tom Holland.
Right, but
Which
Tom
seems like a
Holland
lot
at this
more of a
point
headache
has
than
been
it's
a
worth.
Stark suit and lifting a heavy boulder off of him. Like, come on, Spider-Man! Come on, Spider-Man! Lift a heavy boulder. It's like
That's true, but-
Without the Stark suit, without the Tony Stark suit, Spider-Man has lifted like a pillar off of his head and been like, "I'm Spider-Man," and had Spidey sense against another Tony Stark villain. Spoiler alert, sorry you haven't seen it. I love Spider-Man. I love Peter Parker. I love the MCU Tom Holland Spider-Man. What I'm saying is the fact that you could have successful Sony ventures with Spider-Man without the MCU, but having...
I disagree.
Sony
but-
created the Spider-Verse.
I'm not saying that they can't do it. I'm saying that he's already an established character inside a universe, and to take him out and pretend that he was never there is going to affect the story.
Yeah.
Not the current story, because the current story is Endgame. Like, we're currently at Endgame moving forward. Spider-Man was an ancillary character in Endgame. You have your heavy hitters of the original Avengers, your Scarlet Witch, who faced up against Thanos and didn't kill him. Captain Marvel, who faced up against Thanos, didn't kill him. Iron Man, who's dead.
I'm more worried about
Captain
Spider-Man's
America, who's
story
dead.
than I'm worried about the MCU. The MCU would be able to carry on without him, but
Yeah.
Spider-Man would have a tough time without the MCU. A
Yeah.
lot of his story base that has come up so far has been related to the MCU.
Unless there's
What is his suit gonna be?
Unless-
He can't have a high-tech suit, and to not have a high-tech suit after he had one makes no fucking sense. You have to reboot with Tom Holland Spider-Man to even attempt it. And then it's going to be confusing because kids are watching these movies and they're like, this is the Spider-Man. But now it's not the Spider-Man, it's a different Spider-Man, but the same guy?
I'm going to say in comics, like, setting aside whatever MCU we have, because the MCU is about to be expanding with the Fox merger deal. The third smartest person in all of the MCU is Peter Parker. You have Reed Richards, Tony Stark, Peter Parker.
Some people say that Black Panther's sister is also smart.
Shuri. I don't know if Shuri's smarter than Peter Parker. Like, Shuri and Peter Parker are both kids.
That's fine. The suit was made by Tony Stark. They can't have that suit.
A suit was made.
Two suits. His first suit wasn't. His first suit was made by him.
His story,
second
the way
suit
that
is
it is
Tony
would
Stark.
be confusing. There's
suit.
a lot
Fourth
of...
suit was Peter Parker.
The one that we saw in the Far From Home was made with Tony Stark's technology on the plane.
It was still made by Peter Parker.
Whatever.
His
Whatever. He wouldn't have it without Tony Stark. He wouldn't have the technology, and he wouldn't have the access to the technology. Where did he get access to the technology? Not from Tony Stark, but he knows Tony Stark, and his buddies with him. And Tony just died and gave him a hug as he was leaving, but he can't get any of the tech from Tony Stark because Tony Stark doesn't exist anymore.
Right, but Peter Parker is also a legitimate genius.
I know, but he doesn't have the technology or the resources. And you can put him in a place where he has those resources, but it would make more sense for him to get those resources from the already established story. It's a fucking hole. It's a big hole that is going to be really hard to address.
And I think that's why they came back to it.
You know, it also has a lot of resources that canonically separate from MCU. Peter has a lot of access to. Motherfucking Oscorp.
But why would he go there when he already has connection to Stark Industries?
We are an Oscorp away from Peter having access to whatever he needs.
Yes.
There are some theories. There are actually some theories that.
You're not addressing what I'm putting forward. You're offering solutions, but not addressing the actual issue.
There are some theories that the Stark Tower that we saw in New York at the end of Far From Home that he glides through, that's the Avengers building that was rebuilt or bought out.
Yeah,
it was they
could
don't
be Baxter Building, could be Oscorp. We don't know.
They
yet.
don't know who bought it, but they know that someone bought it because in the first Spider-Man they said it's no longer owned by Tony Stark or whatever. So they moved to a place upstate. So that building,
we'll never get the answer for that again.
But I think there's
never bring it up again.
I think there's an Easter egg in the building itself because when you look at the building when he's gliding through it, it's an opening it's a hole. So for Oscorp, I think that it might be Oscorp.
Speculation.
Okay.
It is 100% speculation, but that's my theory.
With Spidey coming back to the MCU,
which you don't care about because you don't think it would have affected it at all somehow with him being out of the MCU and still having the same background story, but not able to talk about it at all.
I think that both the MCU and the Spider-Verse would have been fine with the deal happening the way that it did.
I'm not saying they couldn't do it. I'm saying there would be huge holes that don't make sense in the story.
With that said, who do you want to play Kraven the Hunter? Because obviously if we're having another Spider-Man in the MCU...
There's rumors that it's Jason Momoa.
That's exactly who I was going to say, of course.
We can wrap the episode here.
All right.
I think we can all agree with that. Wouldn't
the fact that we're
amazing?
Doesn't matter what happens with Sony and Disney.
Yeah.
The next Spider-Man villain is Jason Momoa as Kraven.
I sure as shit hope so.
That would be dope. Yep, that would be good. I think we can all agree on that because everyone.
It's perfect.
Wow,
everyone
I'm so glad that there was such a unanimous.
Yeah.
With all of the fodder in between, the fact that we can wrap on. No, Jason Momoa should be Kraven. Done.
100%.
Perfect. It would be perfect casting.
My name's Keegan Lagervall. This has been Page Screen Beyond. I love you guys. Bye.
I'm John Tubbs.
I am Josh Olson.
And we'll catch you in the next one.
I'm going to yell at Keegan.
See ya.